Well, I think that direction from your behavior is an intense interest in Christianity, in nationalism, and in not recognizing the talents of women and non-white gentlemen, and that's the wrong direction.
I don't know what you're insinuating, Senator, but I am not ashamed of my faith in Jesus Christ.
Well, you shouldn't be
and
ashamed.
if you want to shame me for it, go ahead.
I'm not shaming you, but are you critical of other faiths?
I am a believer. I'm quite open in that, and our department allows for a multitude of faiths. So I don't know what you're suggesting. I've heard the likes of things that people like you suggest to try to smear my character, and I won't give into it.
No.
In war, the first casualty is truth. In politics, it's accountability. Right now, a Senate hearing is unfolding that exposes something far deeper than personnel decisions. A decorated 4-star general was fired. 24 officers dismissed. 60% of them black or female. The secretary won't say why. The senator says it's bias. The defense? Merit. But here's the problem. When you fire people without explanation and hide behind respect, you're not protecting them. You're protecting yourself. This isn't about one general. It's about a pattern. And if you care about transparency in the military, you need to see this. Hit that like button and subscribe because we're breaking this down right now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, you recently fired the Army Chief of Staff, General Randy George, who's one of the most distinguished and decorated officers of his generation. General George's nomination came before us. We reviewed it thoroughly, and we concurred. Why did you fire General George?
Well, as I did then, and I'll say now, we thank General George for his service. And out of respect to him and other officers, we never talk about the nature of why certain officers are asked to step down. But we all serve at the pleasure of the president. And ultimately, my view in coming into this department, as I stated in my confirmation hearing, was to change the culture of the department. And it's ultimately challenging to change the department, the culture of a department with the same people who are a part of or in that department. So I have made many changes with general officers. We will continue to make changes as necessary with general officers, and they will be in keeping with the trajectory of where we would like to take the department. But it doesn't take away from the service of those. And I think you will note that every officer that's been asked to leave has been treated with respect.
Interesting. Of the 24 officers that you have fired for reasons unrelated to performance, since you have not indicated any cause, 60% are black or females. Now, did the president direct you to single out female and black officers to be dismissed?
Senator, of course not. And as we've emphasized at this department from the beginning, the only metric is merit. Members on this committee and the previous leadership of this department were focused on social engineering, race and gender in ways that we think were unhealthy for the department, focusing on those things, making decisions based on those things.
Okay.
In President Trump's War Department, we make decisions based on only one thing, merit. And that's how we've made decisions going forward. That's how we've made them, and that's how we'll make them going forward.
Well, let me go back to General George. What did he fail in terms of his lack of merit to continue serving?
As I said, I don't talk about the nature of dismissal out of respect for these officers. But ultimately, we want to take the department in a particular direction, certain services in a particular direction, and we want leadership that's running as fast in that direction as possible. And in some cases, we make changes accordingly, but do so out of respect to those officers.
Well, I think that direction from your behavior is an intense interest in Christianity, in nationalism, and in not recognizing the talents of women and non-white gentlemen, and that's the wrong direction.
I don't know what you're insinuating, Senator, but I am not ashamed of my faith in Jesus Christ.
Well, you shouldn't be ashamed.
And if you want to shame me for it, go ahead.
I'm not shaming you, but are you critical of other faiths?
I am a believer. I'm quite open in that, and our department allows for a multitude of faiths. So I don't know what you're suggesting. I've heard the likes of things that people like you suggest to try to smear my character, and I won't give into it.
No. I'm sorry, Mr. Secretary, but broadcasting before the national religious broadcasters stressing the need for more Christianity in the military forces doesn't seem like a neutral position in which you tolerate and accept all religions. Let me move on. The strategic aspects of this operation in Iran. The president declared that we're going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. And after more than 13,000 strikes, unclassified assessments conclude that Iran retains more than 40% of its drone arsenal and 60% of its ballistic missile launches compared with pre-war levels. That's one of his objectives. The second objective was regime change. To the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand, and we will take over your government. Well, when we finish, we'll take over government. That has not succeeded. And then one of his other things is at the onset of the war, the president said, we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. Military operations in Iran have not achieved that goal yet. And it also seems to indicate that his pronouncements about Operation Midnight Hammer obliterating the nuclear policy and structure of the Iranians was false. So you have not achieved any of the objectives yet that has the president mentioned.
Well, in this setting, I won't talk about the nature of metrics, which are classified, as you know, Senator. But I can say that looking at the objectives we set out to achieve from the beginning, some of which you laid out, our military objectives have been stunningly effective. Take, for example, their defense industrial base. They're completely incapable at scale at any level of reconstituting the capabilities you referred to, which is a devastating result for any country, especially one whose ambitions are as wide as Iran's. So we've put the president in a very strong position to ensure Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. That's the takeaway that's been underneath every single aspect of this. For 47 years, Iran's trying to blackmail its way to a nuclear weapon. They were closer than ever before because of bad deals under previous administration. President Trump was willing to do something about it and not allow their conventional missile shield. That's the North Korea strategy. That's, to be clear, what Iran was pursuing. Hiding their nuclear ambitions, revealing them over time, and then building a conventional shield of missiles so powerful that no country would challenge them for fear of what would happen if they unleashed that arsenal. Weakened after the 12-day war and Midnight Hammer, which did obliterate their sites, President Trump saw an opportunity because their ambitions continued to ensure that umbrella of nuclear blackmail did not allow them to get to a nuclear weapon. And the world is safer because of his bold and historic choice.
Mr. Secretary, I think that's rhetorical but not factual. Thank you.
The Secretary of Defense just sat in front of Congress and refused to explain why he fired the Army Chief of Staff. General Randy George, decorated, distinguished, confirmed by the Senate, gone. No explanation, no misconduct alleged. Just, we thank him for his service. That's not transparency. That's a cover. Here's what they're not telling you. When you fire 24 officers and 60% of them happen to be black or female, you don't get to hide behind merit without showing your work. Merit is measurable. Performance reviews exist. If these officers failed, show us. If they didn't, then what are we talking about? The senator laid it out. The secretary spoke at the national religious broadcasters and stressed more Christianity in the military. He defended his faith. That's fine. But when your personnel decisions align with demographic patterns and you won't explain them, people are going to ask questions. Now ask yourself this. If a previous administration had fired 24 senior officers, most of them white males, and refused to explain why, would conservatives accept, trust us, it's merit? No. They demand accountability. This is where it gets serious. The military is not a political experiment. It's not a place to purge people based on loyalty tests or cultural alignment. It's a meritocracy. That means proving merit, not declaring it. The secretary says he wants to change the culture. Fine. But culture change doesn't require mass dismissals without cause. It requires standards. And standards require evidence. We've seen this before. Every administration tries to reshape institutions in its image. But the Pentagon isn't a campaign team. It's the defense of the nation. And when you fire experienced leaders without transparency, you weaken it. Now let's talk Iran. The president said 3 things: destroy their missiles, achieve regime change, prevent a nuclear weapon. After 13,000 strikes, Iran still has 40% of its drones and 60% of its missile launchers. The regime is still there. The nuclear program is still advancing. The secretary calls it stunningly effective. The facts say otherwise. Here's what they're not telling you. Declaring victory without achieving objectives is how you lose credibility. If the goal was to obliterate Iran's capability, and they still have 60% of their launchers, that's not obliteration. That's a partial strike. If you're paying attention, you'll catch this. The secretary says Iran can't reconstitute at scale. Maybe. But they don't need to reconstitute if they still have 60% of their arsenal intact. This isn't about partisanship. This is about outcomes versus rhetoric. You can support strong action against Iran and still demand honest assessments. In fact, you should. Because overstating success leads to underestimating threats. The senator asked the right questions. The secretary gave evasive answers. That's not leadership. That's spin. Now ask yourself this. If transparency and accountability matter in government, why are we accepting "trust me" as an answer from the Pentagon? Firing generals without cause. Claiming victory without proof. Refusing to justify decisions to the people who fund them. That's not patriotism. That's arrogance. And here's the takeaway. The military belongs to the American people. Not to any administration. Not to any ideology. When leaders refuse to explain their actions, they're not protecting national security. They're protecting themselves. If you believe in accountability, you don't accept this. You demand better. Like this video if you want more breakdowns like this. Subscribe if you're tired of spin. And comment below. Should the secretary be required to explain these dismissals? Or is merit enough?